Hey everyone, it's Daria. Welcome back to my channel full of lit, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Netflix adaptation of Tiny Pretty Things. Now, initially, I really wanted to do an adaptation analysis, but when I started watching the show, I realized very quickly that I would not be able to do an adaptation analysis because the show and the book are just so wildly different. In fact, I think it would just be easier for me to name off the things between the book and the show that are actually the same. So let's go ahead and do that. The name of the show is the same as the name of the book. It takes place in a ballet school, same as the book. Bette and June are also named Bette and June in the book. And I think that's it. That's really all that I want to say about the book at the moment, because if I tried to sit here and list every single difference, we'd be here all day. So instead what I'm going to do is give you a brief synopsis of the show, tell you some of my overarching thoughts, and then we'll just go down the line of characters and I'll tell you my thoughts and opinions on them and their plot lines, and occasionally I'll bring up the book if I thought the book did something significantly better than the show. Tiny Pretty Things focuses on an elite ballet school in Chicago and the different members of its company. Our main character is a young girl named Neveah from California, and she was initially rejected from the school but is then allowed back in because one of their dancers took a pretty nasty fall, for lack of a better word. That girl was Cassie. She was like the it girl at the school, and she fell off a building, although the entire mystery of the season is whether or not Cassie was pushed and who pushed her. If I was trying to describe the feel of this show to you guys, I would say that it is very reminiscent of like late 2000s, early 2010s ABC Family teen dramas. We're talking Pretty Little Liars, Secret Life of the American Teenager. That is the vibe of this show, okay? It's very soapy, it's very campy. Now, of course, the entire story revolves around ballet and dancing, and there were some really gorgeous dance sequences in this show. And the show took particular care in casting actual professional dancers in the main cast. And this was both a great decision, but also a not so great decision, because let me say that it is pretty obvious to me that these guys are dancers and not actors first. The acting at times was nothing less than cringy and stilted. A lot of times I felt like characters were rushing through their lines. I don't even know if I can entirely blame this on the actors, because this show is so fast-paced that I feel like they tried to stuff 3 seasons worth of character development, relationship development, and drama into one 9-episode series. The next sort of spoiler-free general thing that I want to mention here is that a lot of the drama that happens in this show is not necessarily related to dance. So in the original source material, in the original book, all of the drama, all the mysteries, all the secrets were in some way related to dance. For example, our main character, Gigi, who is Neveah in the show, she has a heart defect, which means that dancing is very dangerous for her, and if the administration found out, they wouldn't let her dance. And someone feeling threatened by Gigi's talent is threatening to spill the secret. So everything the characters did in the book was motivated by competition related to dance. But in the show, a lot of the drama, a lot of the mysteries, a lot of the fights didn't entirely have to do with dance, which I personally think is a bit of a misstep. I think there's so much drama born of the competitive dancing world that it's like you don't even need all this extra stuff. A lot of the drama had to do with relationship stuff, who was hooking up with who was cheating on who, and that becomes a major issue because every single romantic relationship in this show was so rushed. I'm really sorry to say this to anyone who is very invested in any of the couples on this show, but all of them are bad. All of them. The kids at this school were literally playing sexual and romantic musical chairs because every episode someone was hooking up with somebody else. And you know what? That wouldn't necessarily be an issue if all these people were also not confessing their love to each other constantly. I'll get into specifics about that later when I talk more in depth about the characters, but it seemed like characters would fall in and out of love with each other virtually every 5 minutes. I don't know, I just wish they would have stuck more to the dancing and all of the drama and competition surrounding that, rather than all this personal drama going on behind the scenes. Also, one final non-spoilery thing, I have never seen so many men's asses in my life. Just every 5 minutes, cheek. Okay, so now that the spoiler-free general summary portion is over, let's get into all the characters. First we have Neveah, because who the hell else am I gonna start with? She's the main character. And honestly, she knows it. She's very confident and sure of herself and her dancing capabilities. From the very beginning, she was ready to fight for her place there. And at the same time, she can be very kind and compassionate and helpful towards people. I like Neveah. I enjoyed her, but I often felt like all of her storylines were always involving other people. Like, she's always reaching out to help other people through their crises, which is like fine, but also if she's your main character, I feel like she should have her own plot lines. I'm going to bring up Gigi, who is, again, Neveah's equivalent in the book, because I feel like what the authors did with Gigi's character actually showed more development than what the show did with Neveah. Gigi in the books is a very kind, sweet, sort of doe-eyed young woman. She starts landing all of these lead roles, and that causes a lot of other girls to want to knock her down a peg. And Gigi is sort of defined by her goodness, and slowly but surely we see that the harassment, the bullying, the pressure just starts to chip away at her sunny exterior, and by the end of the book she is this hardened version of herself. And now she's the one who's seeking revenge. Do you see how we started in one place and then through the progression of certain plot events end up in a completely other place with the character? Like, that's what I would have liked to have seen with Neveah, and I feel like we just didn't get that full arc. She's meant to be our main character. We're meant to be entering this world through Neveah's eyes. So why aren't we seeing more from her? Why aren't we seeing more of her? Also, they really just did her so dirty with the romances. First of all, Nabil, the fact that they kissed in front of Cassie's unconscious body in her hospital room. Also, her and Oren, what we could have had. They could have been so iconic. They could have built that ship up for seasons. The slow burn excellence it could have been. But instead, like I mentioned, the show cannot write relationships. They have this kind of flirty thing going on in the beginning. They completely forget about each other for a few episodes, and then boom, they're in love at the end. We were robbed, okay? This was a robbery right before our eyes. It could have just been, ugh. It could have been so good. Now, don't get me wrong, I still very much enjoyed Neveah and Oren. I mean, they're both gorgeous people, and when they dance together, when they have their romantic scenes, it's a feast for the eyes, isn't it? Honestly, when there's a season 2, notice I say when, not if, I really hope she gets like a juicy, just singular plotline that doesn't necessarily relate to helping other people. Also, I don't have him on this list, but her brother Tyler, loved him, loved their relationship. I thought that the girl who played Neveah did some of her best acting in the scenes with her brother. The thing is, she was trying so hard to be like Regina George, the popular blonde pretty mean girl, and she just wasn't. She was not nearly as compelling, not nearly as funny. Her and Oren, an absolute mess. The fact that I had to watch them have sex so many times was truly just, it was a crime. That's what it was a crime. I thought the whole storyline with her injury was very interesting. When we saw her foot, ew. Constantly trying to cover it up, having to live up to her sister's expectations. Like, that was interesting. I wish you would have focused more on that instead of having her go after a teacher and have that teacher harass her and abuse her. You know what? I'm not even gonna get into that right now. I have words saved for Ramon later. I'm gonna be honest, that's all that I can say about Bette. I don't have any strong feelings towards her either way. Next, let's talk about June, whom I actually enjoyed, but also there were so many times that she pissed me off. She was so easily manipulated by Bette into believing that Neveah was trying to destroy her for some reason. Like, you cannot be that dumb. Who stands to benefit if that door closes behind you? Bette. And you think Neveah did something about that? What are you talking about? What was? The brain cells, use them. When it comes to Bette, Neveah, and June, they were on and off so many times. One episode, they're all banding together, girl power, fight the patriarchy. And then literally in the next episode, Bette's mad at Neveah, Neveah doesn't like June hates both of them. And then the next episode, all three of them are back to being best friends. Like, I don't understand. Where are the alliances? Where's the consistency? Anyway, back to just June. The whole plotline with her serving at that club and everything that went down with the assault with that gross older man. Just that whole storyline about all those girls being used by the school and by those men. I don't want to say I liked the storyline because that is the subject matter that I don't think anyone particularly likes to hear about or see. But stuff like that does happen. But yeah, in general, I liked June when she wasn't allowing herself to be so easily manipulated by Bette. I did enjoy her character. Next, let's talk about Oren. I have a lot of thoughts on this boy. First of all, I have to say that this man looks like an animated Disney prince. And here's the thing, I liked Oren, but at the same time, I didn't particularly care about Oren. Pretty much all of the plots related to Oren were about his sex life and his romantic life and who he was in love with and who he wasn't in love with anymore. Like, at first, he's in love with Bette, apparently, and they hook up all the fucking time. But then he's also hooking up with Shane on the side, and Shane's really in love with him, and he maybe has feelings, except he doesn't want to go there. And then both those relationships end, and then suddenly he's in love with Neveah, and tells her that within the span of, like, what, a week of them dating? The storyline of his eating disorder, his ED, I wish they had focused on that more. God, I wish they'd focused on it more. I think a lot of us know that within ballet companies, there is a certain expectation of how a dancer should look. In fact, I found it surprising that it seemed to only really be Oren who was struggling with his body image. In the book, pretty much every character at some point was struggling with it. It seemed like the show only mentioned Oren's ED when they, I don't know, needed to give him screen time or something. Next, let's talk about Shane. I really like Shane. I want Shane to be happy. That whole relationship hookup, whatever it was going on with Oren, I'm glad that that ended. I really loved Shane and Neveah's friendship. I think they were probably my favorite pair in the entire series. In general, I liked Shane. Once again, I have the same notes as I have for every single character as I have for the entire show. Stop focusing on the romances. Actually give me some substance with these characters. Next, let's talk about Nabil. Best character on the show! I just love this man. I love this man so much. The only thing that man has ever done wrong is kiss Neveah in front of his unconscious ex-girlfriend, but we're just gonna ignore that. I have to say that the guy who played Nabil was probably one of the better actors in the entire cast. I really loved his friendship with June, and then of course, because this show doesn't know how to do anything else, it ruined that dynamic with a romance. Can someone tell me where exactly Nabil and June fell in love? Because apparently, according to what Caleb said to him in the sauna, it was obvious that he was in love with June the whole time, but I didn't see it. We don't need another hookup. We don't need another couple. We just stop. Now that I've mentioned Caleb, let me go ahead and talk about him. Islamophobic. Islamophobic. That's all that needs to be said. Oh my god. Like, genuinely, the writer's room at Tiny Pretty Things, I'm looking at you, I'm asking you, I'm putting out my hand. What was that? What was the point of it? Tell me. The fact that Caleb said that he had to do right by his father by being Islamophobic. Despite my dislike for Caleb and his watered-down yeehaw accent, I did not like that he was being abused by his teacher. The fact that he was probably definitely groomed by that woman, I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. No thank you. Next, let's talk about Matteo. Trash. Absolute trash. I don't like this man. I don't like him. Let's talk about the fact that his first introduction on our screens was the fact that he said the F slur. But apparently, the writer's room didn't want to talk about it because he ends up in a relationship with Bette. Are you telling me I should like them? All the scenes that you dedicated to making him look like a good person? I don't care. I really don't. I forget what episode it was. I think it was episode 9 when all of them were like filming that viral video together and Matteo was there. And when Shane confronted Matteo, as he should have, what did Bette have to say to that? Matteo wasn't even sorry. They had to force an apology out of him. Are you fucking kidding me? So no, I don't care about that man. I don't like that man. Also, the absolute audacity of the writer's room to have Dev, Shane's boyfriend, a gay man, tell Shane, another gay man, his boyfriend, I will keep repeating this until you get it in your head. Dev told Shane that he should forget about it and forgive Matteo too. That he was sorry. Let's talk about Dev. He was alright. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that Dev is like in his 20s and Shane is a teenager. So, yeah. And finally, rounding out, you know, the last of the kids, excluding Dev, I guess, we have Cassie, our narrator. I actually like that they had her narrate the entire story. I thought that was a nice twist. When she woke up, though, and started talking on her own, not a fan. Not really. Not a fan. Moving on to the adults in the cast. I'm going to say one thing very clearly. Every single adult in this show needs to stay away from these children. 100-foot distance. Stay away from these kids. Stay away from them. Let's start off with Isabel, the cop, the worst character on this show. You might think that she's exempt from the whole stay away from the kids stipulation that I had, but she's not. She's really not. Why are you stalking these children? Why are you showing up to their dorms, to their classes, following them as they walk to and from on the campus? Why are you doing that? When she was talking to that girl on that roof and pushed her, no. No, just no. I've said that so many times, I'll say it again. No. Next we have Madame Dubois. She got exactly what was coming to her. Exactly what was coming to her. When the students performed that dance and they did it to the sound recording of June and that guy, yes. Yes. That's art. That's art. She was awful when she was threatening Neveah, taking away her scholarship. Who do you think you are? She kept going on and on about how she built the school, how she made it what it was. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure that that's what your dancers did. Tell me, Monique, Madame, whatever your name is, who was on the side of the building? I'm sorry, what? Yes, it's your dancers. Bette and Caleb, specifically. Your face is not on the side of the building. Your face is not what people pay every single night to come and see. I said it before, I'll say it again. Everything with Caleb, you're disgusting. You're disgusting. The fact that the writers are even entertaining redemption for this woman is an affront to me as a human being. That woman knew about the pretty much what was a ring of child prostitution going on in her school. And she didn't care. She helped plan it. She did it. So as far as I'm concerned, she deserves absolutely nothing. No redemption. The only thing she does deserve is 25 to life. Next, let's talk about Mr. Brooks, who I didn't really have any particular feelings toward. Like, I enjoyed him anytime he was on screen. I enjoyed his presence. I thought he was funny. I thought he was entertaining. I liked his relationship with his husband. Let's talk about his husband, actually. The Wrench, I believe. I can't remember his real name. Literally, him and that redheaded lady who, like, looked after the dorms, the only adults that deserve any rights. The only adults that are mature, responsible, do their damn job, actually care about the well-being of these kids. Although the Wrench and Mr. Brooks majorly disappointed me there at the end, because it looked like they were trying to help Monique, or the Madame or whatever, like they were gonna try to give her redemption. No. 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 Like, why would you take Mr. Brooks and the Wrench, the only halfway decent adults, and then have them help that woman? Next, let's talk about Delia. She sucks. I don't know what else to say. You know that this man that you're with is abusing young girls. He tried to abuse your sister. In fact, he did it, and you don't care. That tells me all I need to know about you. And the fact that you were so jealous that you pushed a young girl off the side of a building, and she was just so willing to let her little baby sister take the fall. I do not like this woman. I do not like that woman. Finally, let's talk about the greatest evil I have ever known. The villain of this story, Ramon Costa. This man was deplorable, disgusting, vile. How many atrocities did he commit in this season? Sexually harassing and abusing God knows how many students throughout his career. Manipulative asshole, arrogant as hell, thinks that his choreography is all that great. That's the other thing. The fact that this man's choreography isn't even good. You're keeping this asshole, this menace, this deplorable individual in that school for what? For half-assed choreo? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Also, when he threw whatever it was that he threw at Neveah in the dance room and it broke the class, there was no going back. I didn't like him before. I hated him from that moment on. Am I supposed to feel bad that he died? Am I? Because I'm not. I'm not. I'm rejoicing. I have never been happier about an outcome in my life. The second I heard his voiceover at the end of the last episode, I thought, Daria, as much as you suffered this season, as much as it pained you, some of the things that these writers did, you won. You won because ding dong, the witch is dead. So there you have it, all of my thoughts on pretty much all the characters. You guys, Tiny Pretty Things was messy. It was messy as hell. Just give these kids better storylines, please. Tone it down on the romance, slow down the pace. I promise you, you don't have to jam-pack every episode with like 25 storylines. You really don't. All that being said, I am obviously invested in this show, okay? I'm going to be watching season 2. As much as I complain about the drama in the show, I also eat it up. So that's it for me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know if you watched the show, what you thought of it. If you read the book, how do you think the two compare? Let me know what you think of all the characters. Who do you like? Who do you hate? If you genuinely like any of the adults in the show, then I feel bad for you. And I also don't know if I like you. If you want to find me anywhere else on social media, the links will be in the description below, so go ahead and check those out if you would like, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!